Hello everyone. Well, the sun's at my back. It's getting close to noon. I started doing a little bit of cleanup and getting my campsite ready to move again. Moving Sunday. Going to move closer to my storage unit. Going to put some things in there and get some other things out, swap them around. It was cold this morning a little bit. I think it was in the low 30s. Might have made 32. I'm okay with that. I mean, I'm completely comfortable in my sleeping bag. And if I decide I want to get up, I just reach over and flip on the heater, let it warm up my area. But I tend to have a simple breakfast. Coffee and a roll of some sort of Danish or something, so I don't have to cook. I don't like cooking first things. I'm not real hungry anyway. When I get done with this video, I'm probably going to go back and fix lunch. And that will probably be the equivalent of breakfast. I will have eggs and what am I going to have with it? I'll probably have corned beef hash. I think I'll do that today. I can put some salsa on the eggs. Another cup of coffee. That's my 2-cup maximum that I normally have during the day. Then I switch to tea. So I'm walking over to my normal spot. My spot here with the swing. The wind's blowing. And with the cold temperatures, you can feel it. I think over the next few days, we're going to get into the 20s. My new campsite is not one of my favorites because it's noisy, but its proximity to my storage unit makes it ideal for a little while. I'm just there for 5 days. Okay, I'm at the bench, and I'm going to do like I did the last time. I am going to put this down, and I don't want to jar it all over the place for you, so I'll stop the video and restart it once I get the camera in place. And by the way, the theme for today is Hanukkah. And if you really want to do it in a proper Jewish way, you got to clear your throat when you say that. Okay, back in a bit. All right, I'm going to give this a try here. The wind is blowing and it may knock this over, so we just have to wait and see. If it doesn't work this way, I'll have to go sit at one of the tables where it doesn't have to be quite so high. Okay. When we start talking about Hanukkah, I can't pull my Bible out. It is not canon, at least by most religions. The book of Maccabees, and you can find it also in the Talmud where it talks about it. It's an important Jewish holiday, Jewish miracle day. They celebrate it around the same time we celebrate Christmas, so we can wish everybody either a happy Christmas or a happy Hanukkah. And part of the celebration is to play games. That's where the little dreidel comes out the top. But let's see why it's so important. We got to go back to around 200 BC. The Jews are living in their land, if you will. But as we seem to find all the time, They're occupied. Egypt has control of them. But they're far enough away, Egypt lets them do their own thing. The temple's there, it's up and running, they're doing all their normal stuff. The problem comes in is that they weren't following God well enough. And you know what happens? If as a country or a chosen people and you don't follow God properly, He puts somebody in to conquer you. It doesn't matter if you're already conquered, He's going to conquer them again. Okay, so around 175 BC, a guy by the name of, how do you say his name? Antiochus, I think it is, something like that. The fourth. He ascended to the throne in Syria. That's not right on the pronunciation. Antiochus, that's it. Had to think a bit. I'm terrible with names, especially all these foreign ones. Anyhow, he goes to the throne, and what do all good dictators do as soon as they reach the throne? They go out and start conquering. One, they want more money, so they steal the spoils from whoever they conquer. They bring in people to be slaves, or they just simply annex the country and it becomes part of their empire. You know, we saw it with the Roman Empire as it expanded. So this guy's trying to do the same thing. But he doesn't want to kill the people. He wants to keep them there and just indoctrinate them into the Syrian way of life. And they're still involved in the Greek part of it, the Greek gods and that. So they make it mandatory, he does, that they worship the Greek gods and their idols. They put up with that for a little bit. But then they went in and I guess it's 168 BC. I had to write these numbers down so I got them right. He went into the temple and took it over, defiling it, because he didn't want them worshiping their God. You could worship any of the dozen or more Greek gods, but you couldn't worship your independent God. They didn't have the insight, because God didn't give it to them, like Paul did, to say, well, I'm worshiping the unknown God. They had one of those, just to make sure they covered all the gods. They created one called the unknown God. That way no one would be pissed off, because if they worshiped all of them, then they'd be okay. They could farm, they could do their trade, whatever they want to do, they'd win their wars. So, once he desecrated the temple, that was it. The Hashemayim priests got together and decided that was enough. So a group of them, led by Judah Maccabee, decided to rebel against them and started fighting them. 13 priests against an army that conquered all this. The people were still there, but God was with them. And they fought for 3 years. And they eventually got in and took back Jerusalem. So that would have to be around 160 something BC. They got back into the temple, and they're priests. So they're going to start this beast up. I know, I'm joking. It's like when you start up an old, 18-wheel truck or, diesel truck. You got to get it just right to get it started. Well, they were going to go in and light the menorah. And they have priestly oil that has been blessed and sealed in clay jars that they use for that. Well, they looked around and they had opened all the sealed jars, except for one. They found one. And one jar provides enough oil for that giant menorah. And there's a replica of it, a newer version of it, outside the Temple Institute, big giant gold menorah. You put your oil in all 9 spots or 8 spots. The traditional home menorah has 9 spots because you got to have a candle in the middle that you light to get the, and then use it to light the other ones. But in those 8 little containers up there, you put all the oil in, that's enough oil for one day. And they didn't have any more. So they stayed there, and it stayed lit for 8 days. And by that time, they were able to go find more oil and get it ready. They were priests, so they could do all the blessing on it. So that's the miracle, is that they lit it with 1 day oil, 1 day worth of oil, and it stayed lit for 8 days. I don't know how. God does. That's the miracle. Them beating the Syrians was also another miracle. But they don't celebrate that. In one particular case, they got to one of the military leaders, and one of the stories is they give him some cheese, probably blue cheese. Oh, there goes the wind again. Okay. Let me put this over here and see if I can do it this way. And it said that he got very thirsty. And they said, well, we've got some wine for you. And they gave him a lot of wine. Well, not sure exactly what they did to him after that. But he didn't fight anymore, and his troops all scattered and ran. So they won that battle by a little deception. But God will always help his people win if you're trusting him. Now, if you're misbehaving, he's going to let the bad guys win. He might even let you get, captured and stay in captivity for a while. He's done that too. So don't turn your back on him. And just like Sodom and Gomorrah or the United States today, he won't destroy if there are, started off, 100 good people, then he started whittling it down. Imagine having the courage to talk to God that way. Well, how about 50? How about 30? 10? How about 7? How about 2? Whatever it is. God said, if there's anybody there, I won't destroy it. That doesn't mean he won't make them suffer, but he won't destroy it. But he got Lot out and his family just in time. And the angel said, don't tarry. Get out of here now. And don't look back. Of course, his wife did. He didn't make it, but everybody else did. And it was completely destroyed. It's amazing what God will do. He will protect his own people, those that are faithful to him. So like my recent videos, I've talked about the United States. The United States is going down, and probably pretty hard. That's why I've been warning you to prep a little bit. I don't know how much we're going to need, but I think that it's going to be one of the triggering mechanisms for the remaining events of the end times, which means we have a rapture very soon around that time frame. So don't go get 10 years with the rations, but if you can store up a month or 2 or 3, of rations, that would be good. We don't know how long it's going to happen, before it gets to the point where we're going to be pulled out. As soon as the Antichrist is ready, and Satan is ready to activate the Antichrist, he's here now, but he's not activated. He probably doesn't even know who he is. And we know he's going to die and get resurrected and then be a host for the Polyon. That's all going to happen at some point in time. We don't know when. But Satan himself is going to be the one to come down here for us, not the Antichrist. Revelation 12. So when that happens, we're out of here. And he's not going to do it as long as he's coming down for us, and he's coming down for Jerusalem. That won't start until Satan has everything ready for the Antichrist. And the United States has to be out of the picture. We would step in. As much as they don't want to, they would probably have to step in and help Israel. it wouldn't be for Israel's sake. They probably think, well, they've got all this new natural gas now. We'd better go ahead and be friends with them so we can buy some of it. I don't know. They don't think rationally anymore. They're thinking Satan, and he doesn't think rationally. He's got one thing motivating him, and that's hate and greed and wanting God's throne. Okay, so anyhow, did I cover all this stuff up here? So they had the oil. Okay, so Hanukkah's on December 18th. Now, some of my date setters say this is a high watch time. I'd say it's more than likely it would be Christmas to be a high watch time. We're looking at a Gentile kickoff of the rapture. But it could be Hanukkah. Satan may be mad that his people didn't win back then and wanting to get, back on him. But like I said, the books that cover this are not in the Standard Bible. You can find them. I think Catholics use these other books, some other offshoots, but they're not part of the normal canon. It's not because this story isn't good. It is good, but the rest of the book doesn't follow canon, so that's why they didn't include it. And if you ever do get to Israel, go to the Temple Institute and you can see a replica, a new one of the menorah that's ready to go in the next temple when they build it. And we're going to have the Antichrist for that. Okay, that's pretty much it. We have Hanukkah for one reason. The Jews celebrate it as a victory over their enemies. Now, they were eventually, taken out. Syria finally regroups. So they didn't win the war, they just won the battle. But they got to see how God would work. We know who wins because just read Revelation 21 and 22. I'm looking forward to our feast in the New Jerusalem. That's where the wedding feast is, not before that. It would be inappropriate to celebrate until we all are together. There are going to be a lot of Christians born during the tribulation. That's the only reason that we have a tribulation. It's not to punish people. If they want to just punish them, throw them into the pit of fire. The reason we're having this staggered event, these individual tragedies, individual attacks, trumpets, bowls, wrath, everything is coming in pieces. Why? To get people's attention. The whole world is going to know who Jesus is. And if they just want to outright deny him, they're going to go right to the pit. But we can save people. You can save people. And even if you've got like family members, I got people on here that talk about this, give them the message. They will eventually, if they're totally evil, which I doubt they are, because you're family members, you need to know them, they will come over. God won't give up on them. It's the totally evil people that are going to go through to the end and face the white throne and go into the fire. If people are, quote, basically good, that doesn't mean they're going to get to heaven. But if they're basically good, they're going to listen. And you plant those seeds. If they're complete evil, they won't listen to you. But if they're basically good, they can still be saved by accepting Jesus. Not by their works. They may say, well, I'm a good person. I don't need God. You're not good enough. You have to accept Jesus. But if the good person is open to talk to him about it. Don't hit him with it. Don't get out that 50-pound Bible and hit him over the head. Be nice. With compassion, you present Jesus. And if they're not quite ready, just say, promise me one thing. When things get bad, remember this talk. I've never had somebody say no, even if they probably were going to forget it. But the good people will remember. The seeds are planted. So don't worry about your family. If they don't go with us, there's 2 more chances. And if they make it all the way to the end, Jesus will come back anyway. All right. I'm going to probably post this on Hanukkah, on the 18th. Hanukkah doesn't start until the evening, but I'm going to go ahead and post it on that day. So for my Jewish friends, I hope you have a happy Hanukkah, or Hanukkah. And whatever you do, don't forget your Christian friends, because we're part of the family, whether you like it or not. We all have the same God. We have the same Messiah, who you will eventually accept. 144,000 and the 2 witnesses. They're for you. So remember this. Till we meet in the clouds, God bless. I really do like this spot, so I will include this again. The only way you're going to see these little snippets of my park here is if you watch till the end. I look at the stats. There are people who look at it and go, oh, this is not for me. We're doing that Jesus freak stuff again. That's okay. They've heard it and they won't have an excuse to God when He asks them, why didn't you accept when you were given the opportunity? But for those of you that watch all the way through, that's what I do this for.